Okay, people, it's the next day. What, October 2nd, I think? I don't think it's October 3rd. Could be, though. Anyway, I open this up. We don't want it to get moldy in there, right? So, then it's warm. And I've already been out here for a bit. So I've gathered up a few more bricks. And trying to piece them in. Visualization. Guesstimization. Right? Okay, people, do you see that? See those hornets fighting over... Oh, God, they're fighting over that wing. I cut off the wing of the bird. I'm just letting it air out, dry out, right? Very small bones. And these hornets, they didn't take them long to find it. I gotta get out of here, people. Does that look like fun to anybody? Like, seriously. Why do I feel like people are exploiting me? Okay, like I said, there is no rhyme or reason in terms of pattern. It's just a matter of getting it done. Alright. That's it. It gets a little complicated when you're getting into those areas. Right. But anyway. Okay. So this is what it looks like the next day. I haven't uploaded what I did yesterday. But hold on a minute. Okay, people. I think I'm going to throw in a boomerang here. Kind of kill two birds with one stone, right? You know, multitask. Try and squeeze in another project, right? I'm on the inside today. I started doing dishes. When I'm outside doing like day after day after day, unfortunately the dishes don't get done up here and it just starts to pile up, right? So I'm kind of, and I've got dishes on the porch, and so it's dishes day. But what I want to do though, because I'm getting people attacking me on the internet, which is not unusual for YouTube. Because what happens is, it doesn't matter if it's YouTube, from my experience, okay? Because I've done park events, and I've done community initiatives with families and children, and, just community members, just groups of people, right? In apartment buildings and that type of thing. So it'd be a large group, right? Time after time after time. And, once you're out there in the public, even if it's on a small scale in a courtyard where you're living in an apartment building, you actually live there, you're part of the community, and you get in there and you try and, bring in painting rocks and building birdhouses and doing Christmas wreaths and, playing games and, bringing out the swimming pool so the children can run through the, through the sprinklers and splash into a little child's swimming pool and stuff like that, musical instruments and stuff. I've done all that. And then I've taken it one step further too. I've even done park events, right? Where, somebody has to take responsibility if something goes wrong. And that was me. So, if there was an issue, people would come to me, right? In a park. Cops want to make sure I have a license. Somebody phoned from a building way over there. Out of, 500 buildings, it only takes one phone call, right? And the cops will come and say, well, is this legit? Well, yeah, it is, right? And then whoever did that one phone call, well, obviously they didn't shut it down, so they got to find another way to attack you, right? And, depending on how often you're out there doing things, right, in terms of being consistent, for some people, it drives them fucking mad. It really does, because they get vindictive, because they can't shut you down, right? So, what happens then is, they look for who they can mitigate a strategy to shut you down And, you know, they connect with people something similar to themselves in terms of, you know, instead of being a part of the solution, they're more comfortable with being part of the problem. And so they take all their energy and they focus it on you and what you're doing, and they try and shut you down, you know, with that little mob coming in, right? So I've done that, been there already many times, many times. And I think that's why politicians are so elusive. I think that's why they don't get personal with people. They have personable skills, but they don't get personal. You know, they don't really connect with what you're bringing to them in terms of your hardships on a political level, you know. So how can I say this? Okay, I know my local MLAs, more than one. I know them from both sides, because when back in the day, 2005, 2006, 2007, those days, I used to approach politicians all the time with my paperwork. I'd go, I'd make appointments, I'd drive, you know. One time I went to go all the way out to Cloverdale to go see Rich Coleman. He made an appointment with me. Well, his secretary made an appointment with me. And I'm a poor woman, you know, struggling, whatever, but I made the effort. I went down there, and he wasn't there. Because they, you know, these politicians, they know that what I do is personal. When I'm talking universal school meal program, you know, starting in British Columbia, Canada, going all across fucking Canada, and then stepping in the United States and start building up on those schools that they already have with their, you know, buildings falling apart, and we need to do some upgrades. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And maybe that's why they avoid the issue, right? Because they know that even though it sounds strange, even though it sounds too far-fetched or unreasonable in a political sense, you know, because it's a money pit, long-term, big-wise, right, in terms of when you're dealing with the masses, you know, millions of people with billions of dollars attached to it. But isn't that what politicians do? Don't they play with money? You know, aren't they allowed to fathom the idea that they could, at the tip of their fingers, have $1 billion? You know, what makes them politicians? What politician doesn't want $1 billion? You know, if I was a politician, I'd want $1 billion, right? So, anyway, that's why politicians keep themselves disconnected when you go to them as a constituent to their offices and say, oh, well, you know, I'll just use the poorest of the poor as example, right? Social services, they're cutting off single people without children, left, right, and center. And for various reasons. You know, if it's not for shady shit, depending on your provincial or state government, right? Territorial governments, you know, because you got your conservatives, you got your, you know, your liberals, and, you know, the this and that and everything else in there. So every region has a different set of rules to some degree, even though we all operate under a federal level, right? So along comes BC Liberal government back in 2001, right? And they came up and they took the existing social services roles and they ripped it all up. And they said, well, we're going to rewrite a new batch. But instead of rewriting that new batch, what they did is they adopted what the United States of America has been doing to their own people under their welfare reform. And that's how I fell through the cracks back in 2003. And, you know, whoever wants to sit up there and critique me and, well, you know, this is personal business. You shouldn't be talking about your business, you know, it's the internet. You know what? I've been out in the public for a long time. This is not really any more different than putting my ass out in a park event, waiting for somebody to come by and say something to me. Oh, well, pull down that flag. Pull down that American flag. I came to your park event, and I'm telling you that the Americans are blowing up Iraq, right? This is back in 2008, 2007, right? They're blowing up, you know, all these children and families up in Iraq, and how dare you have an American flag? And I'm like, whoa, buddy, where did you come from? And no, I'm not tearing down the American flag. Because I promote a universal school meal program and school restoration in the United States of America. Okay, back on track. So how is this any different? The only difference is you get more detail. You get to come down to a more personal level to understand that what people, real people, not just me, but people that have, you know, sincere intentions to do something with our short period of time on this planet, right? And we made a commitment to dig into our own pockets and to find the fortitude to promote charitable acts. And this is nothing new. This has been going on for years. But what's happened is you've got big business moved in, being selective about what charities that they support, and monopolized basically the whole concept of charity. And it wipes out the little guys. I already did a video on that one. But at the end of the day, I'm a little more than just a small non-profit, because there is a federal international trademark name attached to what I do. Because when I started off with the right foot, my goal was to promote a universal school meal program and school restoration in the United States of America. But it's not my fault that everybody's busy with their own agendas, that they lose sight of that when I'm coming in with $1 billion, well, gee, if we start feeding too many kids, it's going to cost us more money. So right there, it swings you up into a political arena that back in the day, when I started off with this whole thing, do you honestly think I was thinking up there at that point in time in life? Obviously not. So I'm still struggling to promote that. That's what the nonprofit represents. Okay? That's what the federal trademark name represents. It represents that nobody can come in there and recreate the wheel so they can do a copycat fucking syndrome little whatever and lose sight of the goal that initially started back in 1999, 2000. Because so far, 14 years later, we haven't gotten anywhere near close to what I've written as a constitution. And that's because we've got the naysayers in the community. Whether they're online, or whether they're in the park, or whether they're in an apartment building courtyard with a bunch of little vulnerable kids and their families. It doesn't matter. It's all the same boat. Only this one's documented. This one you can't run around and pretend that you didn't fucking know the truth. This one you can't say, oh, well, I didn't know you were doing this on your own. I didn't know that you weren't getting no funding. Oh, geez. Here, let me give you $1. And then to make it worse, I'm being sabotaged. I'm being sidetracked. You know, I'm being played for a fool. Whatever. Fool. Here's a fool. I'm a fool. Okay. And I'm gonna just, let me see how many minutes this go, because this stupid camera clicks itself off after about 30. This thing is upside down. Looks like 11 minutes. Okay. Talk about a fool here. Let's talk about being a fool. Now I must be the laughing stock of the fucking neighborhood. I already did a video on that too. Because, and the reason I brought out the camera, okay, is because I'm bringing out the wipeout board today. I have to start educating people on this nonprofit and how it actually works. And, or should work. Or is to work. Okay? So that when the shit hits the fan, nobody's surprised and can come back in there and later and say, oh, you're just running a scam. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not. Right? And you're not obligated to watch these videos if you don't want to know the truth about how it happened, why it happened, and where it's going to happen. And what's going to happen. Okay? Because we haven't gotten to what's going to happen yet. We just don't know yet. Right? But here, I'm the fool now, right? Because, okay, you know I got a problem with this gutter. You know I got a problem with this bathroom. You know I got a problem with people coming here and helping me, right? Because, you know, one, I'm sorry, guys, you just don't have the fucking stamina. You know, you work for an hour and you're sweating like a fucking pig, right? And you know, like what kind of bullshit is that? Right? Or You're given a direction. You're told what to do, right? Because that's what you get paid for. And you fucking veer off and you go off and do something else for your convenience. Not for my convenience, but for your convenience. And then expect me to pay you for it. I mean, if that's not running game on somebody, I don't know what is either. Right? No names mentioned. You know, you come in here and I ask you to, you know, cut some wood and hammer some fucking nails because my hand is going like this because I'm tired of trying to be a fucking man here, right? You know, and sure, maybe you go off and do that. Next thing you know, I'm finding you raking something. Like, what the fuck? I didn't ask you to go rake anything. I asked you to fucking cut some wood and hammer something. So, I get this canopy, pay the guy $5, whatever. You know, I didn't want to ask. I told my landlady, I'm tired of asking these fucking guys help around here. Because I never know what I'm going to get. Like, seriously. All I know is that they don't have the stamina. The majority of them, I haven't really found one that really has fucking stamina. You know? But yet these guys want $14, $20 an hour. Like, I don't get it. Like, $20 an hour for what? You know, why? If you can't work for 10... why should you work for fucking 20? What's gonna, if you can't do a good job for $10 an hour, $12 an hour, you know, and have good work ethics, right? Seriously, I don't care what your mental state is in terms of, you know, well, I'm homeless, or, you know, I live in a one room and I don't have a phone, but, you know, yeah, you know, like, or yeah, I'm running a recovery house, and even though I'm an addict myself, and, you know, there's lots of game there with that methadone shit, and I can pull in $5,000, you know, even though my landlord sold the last house out from underneath me and the city shut me down. I'm like, well, you fucking go away, man. But yet you can't even fucking put in 3 hours fucking work? And you move your fucking van into my yard and you want to sit up there and, you know, pretend like you're the damn victim when I'm asking you to freaking leave? So anyway, I gave the guy $20, the one that I gave $5 to bring home that canopy with me, right? He said he was going to come back the next day, so out of good faith, I gave him $20. I said, yeah, because I really need help with this gutter. And my landlady is cutting me some slack. So, you know, if she's saying, let's do it now. You know, and if you want the job, there's the job, right? I said, give me a quote. Oh, well, you know, between up the gutters, right, approximately, and, you know, the little bit that, there's not a little bit, but it's half a little bit, right, of the basement there, that will take maybe about 5 hours to do, right? 6, 7 hours at best, right? Less if you know what you're doing. Right? So, you know, I mean, he goes $150, and I'm like, okay, so we're looking at between $150 and $200. And of course, I'm pushing for $200 myself, you know, because I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody here, right? Well, he never came back, you know. And then I went last night, check this one out, on the way to go do something. I thought I'd pop up by the, you know, homeless shelter over there. Haven't been there for a while, you know. And see if I can ask around for this guy, right? It's like, you know, you're either going to come back and let me know that you're going to fucking do it, or you're going to give me back my money. One or the other. You just don't come back after you tell me you are, right? Especially when I'm already taking a chance on you. Because my last few experiences with these types of guys is just getting pathetic. I'm serious. You go ahead, get mad. Get mad. The ones that watch there with these fucking issues, right? You know, if you want to call yourself a man, well then damn well pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? Isn't that what men do? Right? So anyway, I'm now talking to this other guy, right? And he's saying, well, what kind of work do you need? And I'm like, told him. He goes, oh, well, I can use $200. And I'm like, okay, well, here's my address, here's my phone number, I'll see you tomorrow. He said, yeah, well, whatever. He offered to see me today, 10 o'clock, and he hasn't shown up. So that tells me that these people sitting up at the fucking front room are... There's that crazy lady with her 81 Oldsmobile. I can't believe she's still driving it. Serious. With the Mr. Honchos, you know, the Mr. fucking Honcho is running around like, I'm the man, you know, I'm the man, right? Even though I ain't got a fucking pot to piss in, I'm still the fucking man. Well, they're screaming at me to drive on out of there because I got my grandson in the back seat, right? You know, because we're going out shopping for some food or whatever, right? And they can't control themselves with their fucking pipes. Because the city locked them all off and they got a big long strip of everybody. It's like worse than East Hastings. You know, that's what they do. They just sit there and wide open on the street. You know, they got their little spot. And they're screaming at me to fucking drive on. And I'm like, well, no, I'm trying to find some help here with my gutter. Like, hold on a minute. Like, can't you control yourself? Didn't even notice. So who are they to cast judgment on me? Telling me to drive off. But yet, you come with clothes, you come with blankets, you come with food, which I have done many, many, many times over the last umpteen years. Then they like you. But as soon as you start telling them to pull themselves up by their fucking bootstraps, seems like people get a little bit of attitude around here and don't want to come and fucking help, not even for $10 an hour. Because for some reason in their heads they think they're worth $25. But yet, go down there tonight and they're all standing by the food truck. So, who's the fool? Well, I am. Because nobody's helping me with the fucking gutters. Nobody's helping me with the bathroom. You know? If anything, they're stocking my fucking yard, right? Just like when Dad moved out of here 4 days later, my dad's wife's walker disappeared because he needed it for his lady friend. What? Is that personal business? Well, only to the one that maybe be watching this and know that they did it. Other than that, for everybody else, it's just general information that they have to go through. Because if I'm having that kind of problem in my local area, I'm sure there's other people out there having the same kind of problem with other people in their local areas. Because it's a systemic problem. Kind of like the non-profit. You have the one location, then it becomes systemic. Only it's on lockdown. Because it's legit. If it wasn't legit, it wouldn't be on lockdown. So instead of looking at it as, well, I'm running a fucking scam here because I've got this link, that link, trying to build on this web page as I'm working in my freaking yard, sewing in my head, having to deal with idiots that don't like to work or take responsibility for things that belong to them. That's what happens when you're in the public. If you want to continue to work on the non-profit, I could simply just go dissolution on this non-profit and all this shit would be a non-issue. All I would be dealing with is the stuff in my personal life. I wouldn't have to explain it to you why I'm behind on the paperwork, why I haven't sent off the registers of companies to the mail. Matter of fact, hold on a minute. Right. There's my paperwork for non-profit. Registers of companies in Victoria. This is for 2014. I have to still call an annual general meeting. I haven't even dealt with the last one yet. Here it is right here. I just lost my check. Here's the check to pay for it. Alright? Hold on. There you go. See? Hold on. See? There you go. You want to take a good look? That was for 2012. 2013. So that right there puts me in the public eye. And I'm sorry if you don't like what you see. I'm not professional. It's not that I don't want to be, I just don't have the time to be. And I don't have the help or the resources to pay other people to do it, the paperwork for me. I don't have that privilege. I'm not a well-established non-profit that's been around for fucking 100 years. Right? That, you know, interacts with its colluded groups of the larger collective so that us poor always stay poor. Because even when you're trying to do the right thing, you find yourself in situations where you become the laughing stock of the community over fucking gutters and leaky pipes. Right? Because when the homeless start ignoring you and don't want to help fucking even work for $10 an hour because everybody's whispering. But that's okay. Because the way I think like this is how I think about it. If and when I ever get my little collection boxes out for the Apple Box program, let's just put it this way, let's put a whole new light on it. A whole new light. Unless, of course, something changes, but I don't know. There's too many people out there with bad attitudes for all the wrong reasons. Seriously. So I'm going to get the little wipeout board. In between washing dishes and cleaning my porch, what I'm doing is, because I never get to rest, ever. The only time I ever get to rest is when I'm sleeping. I don't ever get to lay down and cat nap. I used to when I had cable, but I had to disconnect the cable for a while. So what happens is when I'm working like hard labor, like lifting, I lifted those bricks people out there from the front, carried them all away, 3 at a time. And buckets of sand and all that shit, okay? Same crap that I've been doing for years, so after a few days, right? And, you know, I get tired. Like I'm tired, right? And physically tired too, right? Like physically, I don't have the strength, right? So this is a pitter around. I'm going to go into our little ocean pond area there and just kind of do a, you know, just a mental hum. Because not only do you have to rest your body, but you have to rest your mind too, right? So, and I'm going to bring out the wipeout board, and I'm going to just start writing in the logistics of the nonprofit and how it's meant to operate under a federal trademark name. Because without the federal trademark name, it would be meaningless. It's the federal trademark name that puts it under lockdown, and the only thing that prevents it from moving forward is paperwork. But that does not say, or is meant to mean, that it doesn't exist in the context of a non-profit. It just means that not enough areas have been merged with each other with the right type of workers, volunteers, which equals workers. Right? Because when you volunteer, you're supposed to work. That's what volunteering means. You work. You work for free. Or you give something for free. Alrighty-o. So, I guess I'll have to pull out that wipeout board. And then maybe that might help.